This is the Gaming Buzz Podcast, where ranting about video games somehow equals content.
Hello and welcome to Gaming Buzz. I'm Jacob. That's Jason.
Hello.
And before we begin today, we just want to say, YouTube's trying to kill the ad revenue of smaller channels, so we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to help us out.
It is. Anybody lower than, you said 1,000?
Yep.
1,000 subscribers no longer gets ad revenue from their things. That's not just us, that's everybody.
It sucks. It's really not cool.
So all those people struggling to get into YouTube that have been trying to gather subscribers will no longer be getting ad revenue for their stuff if they're under 1,000.
So that's not what we're talking about today.
It is not.
I'm sure, we could go on for hours about how BS it is. But we are talking about something interesting. We're doing a new Hidden Gems episode.
First one in a little more than a year?
Yeah, the last one was in November 2016, and there are some titles that, I was going to say there's some titles on our list that we, might not have come out since then, but I don't know if there are.
Right.
Maybe one or two. But a lot of it, our tastes as gamers change, and we discover new things and whatnot, so we wanted to do kind of an update. We did do an old one. You can check that out if you'd like.
And some of these might be repeats from that old one because we forget what we mentioned.
We did not watch the old one beforehand. And,
right.
So, there might be a repeat or two. Sorry about that. But with that, we're going to get started. And I'm going to give you one more plug before we do, though. Join our Discord.
Yes.
Join our Discord. Jason's now officially in our Discord.
Yep, I'm trolling two different Discords. They're TCG Player One and Gaming Buzz.
So Jason's now in it, and the big thing we'd love is for you to join us and share with us in our Discord what your hidden gems are. Because I'm sure we're going to miss tons. These are just some personal choices from us.
This is true.
So let's get right into it. You want to start us off?
Most of my list comes in the form of downloadable, not all of it. But I will start with one that's always been a blast to me, N+. Your stick figure ninja.
Don't you mean N++++++++++?
Right. There's N+, and N++, which just came out via download. If you were lucky enough to get it via limited run, you got a hard disk copy of it. Along that same line, Super Meat Boy. But N+ to me is just that much more fun.
I have N++ on Steam, and I just have not gotten around to playing it for more than 5 minutes.
You need to play it.
Yeah, I know. It's on the list, The Steam backlog is real. But it is on the list, and I did play like 10 minutes of it when I first got it, and I really enjoyed it.
But if you like simple yet challenging games, it is one of those for real hidden gems.
All right. Do you want to pass it back to me, or do you want to cover another one?
Go ahead. I got plenty on my list, but...
All right, so plenty of my list is PC titles, retro stuff, because that's what I've been into lately.
Yep.
As Jason can attest, I've been buying up like
Sim Cities and things like that.
So much stuff like that. Oh, and that's my thing lately. But I do have a couple items that are not that type, and I'm going to start with a game that just a few months ago was 100% free on Humble Bundle. In the Humble store, it was completely free. So many people did pick it up, but if you have not yet, Killer is Dead.
Yes.
So Killer is Dead is made by Suda51. How do you describe Suda51?
They're very unique in how they do their stuff.
It's very wacky, interesting. This one's a little more reserved than the other works from Suda51. And it's a little more simple. Gameplay-wise, it plays a lot like No More Heroes, if you're familiar with that. It's an action game with some interesting elements. A huge part of the game is playing through basically a parody of Alice in Wonderland, which is really interesting. There are a lot of horror elements in it as well. But also, probably the most infamous thing from it, it's also kind of a dating sim, where you get new unlockable powers by getting laid. I'm not joking. The only way for you to upgrade your abilities is to get laid. Seriously. It's quirky, but it's also a lot of fun, and I really enjoy the combat. And like I said, it was free on PC recently, so you might have picked it up from that. And if you have, play it. It's also available on PS3 and Xbox 360. So yeah, there's one. You got another one? We're just going to pass it back and forth?
Pretty much. Any of the Culdcept games, whether it be Culdcept on the PS2, Culdcept Saga on the 360, or the newest released Culdcept Revolt on the 3DS. If you like collectible card games, and it's basically Magic the Gathering meets Monopoly.
Which is
the easiest way to describe it.
An amazing way to describe a game.
It is challenging in all the right ways and super unique at the same time.
All right, back to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next game I'm going to cover, this one's not that big of a hidden gem, but I want to share. Recently, for a reason I will not disclose at this time, Christian and I played through the game Sonic Advance for the Game Boy Advance, and I forgot just how interesting of a platformer it is. And as far as like games for the Game Boy Advance goes, the Sonic Advance trilogy is not underrated, but as far as Sonic games go, it is, I feel. A lot of people forget they were a thing and, focus more on just the Genesis titles or the 3D games or more recent titles like Sonic Mania, but they're also really great 2D platformers. And I really dig the art style. It's like a mix between the old Genesis stuff and the like more modernish Sonic Adventure style.
Right.
So, and that's really it for that game. Your turn.
The next one is it was another downloadable title. I actually randomly found it on the 360 one day, called Death Spank.
Called what now?
Death Spank. You are just he refers to himself as the hero of the downtrodden, and there's been 3 games total: Death Spank, Thongs of Virtue, and The Baconing.
The what now?
The Baconing was the third one. Thongs of Virtue was the second.
The what now?
Yep.
What is this?
It's just a silly, really weird adventure game.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's fantastic in all the right ways. It's hilarious and meant to be just over the top.
You know it's a hidden gem if I've literally never even heard the name.
At one point, you have to hit demons with a poop hammer to get demon dung to polish magic cherries in order to continue a quest.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Is that only on 360?
I think you can. I know you can find it on PC as well.
Okay.
Which means you could probably find it on other systems.
And now something totally different from poop hammers.
You're right.
Jason and I are both big fans of RPGs. And believe me, like if there's a good RPG, generally it gets its recognition.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple on my list coming up. So.
And for the typical RPG fan, this amazing RPG might have flown under the radar just because it's a part of a specific series. Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury. So if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, you've probably never played or probably even heard of this game. It's a Game Boy Advance game. The reason I bring it up is not for us super hardcore Dragon Ball fans who love it. I want to share it with everyone else, especially people like this guy over here who doesn't really care about Dragon Ball, right?
Right, but
you love RPGs.
And I like collecting, so.
It is incredible. It's a very solid RPG with some action elements. With a large overworld to explore and hundreds of hours of content. And it's all very well done, and it's like the 4th Dragon Ball RPG they did, and in my opinion, for the Game Boy Advance, and in my opinion, the only one worth playing. But it's just fantastic and well-rounded, and something where you go like, why is this game not, as well-known as it is?
Right.
If you want an example of how good it is, Team 4-Star, you know who they are, right? A bridging team behind Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yep.
Kind of a big deal. They did a list of their top 24 favorite Dragon Ball games, and this game was number 3 on the list. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal, and it's a great game, and you should pick it up and see if you like it.
I'll get there.
I mean, currently, not to price check it, it's only like $20-25.
Right.
So. All right, next.
For me, it's one of the twin-stick shooters. Enter the Gungeon. I forget whether I mentioned it on the last one or not, but Enter the Gungeon is a roguelike bullet hell game with a combat roll. You can actually roll under lasers and pass like under bullets and things like that, but it is insanely hard.
It's super fun, though.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like about that game, I've played not enough of it, admittedly, but probably like 5 hours worth. I really like how it can be incredibly flashy and super cool looking on screen without being disorienting.
Right.
You always know where your character is.
Yeah,
Which is an issue that other...
Bullet hell games have problems with, yep.
Yeah. All right, you going to pass?
I don't know how many more you got on your list.
Oh, I don't know. I got a decent number.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Next, we're going to we're totally not doing this in any order.
No, we're not.
It's fun. Rodea the Sky Soldier. Probably decently well known by collectors now as a unique experience and something that, is interesting enough to pick up. And by now it's gotten cheap, and I believe you own it now, right?
Yep.
So that means that everyone at Gaming Buzz has a copy. It's a Wii U title that was originally meant to be released on the Wii, and then when the Wii U was upcoming, they canceled it and then started reworking it for the Wii U. And then they decided, when they released the Wii U version, as a interesting ploy to get people in to buy it, they also included the Wii version, which they finished.
Right.
So the interesting thing is it's technically the last real major release on the Wii, but also the Wii version is actually better than the Wii U version. The Wii U version's got a couple benefits and is a little performs a little better, and you have a little bit more depth to it, but you get into the game way faster with the Wii version.
Right.
It's super interesting though, comparing the two, and it just being unique like that. I mean, can you think of any other occasions where you buy a game and you get the same game on an older system too?
Doesn't happen often.
No. It's super unique of a story, and that's why I think it's collectible, but it's in general just a fun game on a system that has a pretty small library.
Right.
Next.
Another twin-stick shooter, Zombie Apocalypse. It is twin-stick shooter with one extra button. One button moves you, one button shoots per normal, but you have a teddy bear that you can use as zombie bait that will say some pretty funny stuff, because the teddy bear is actually stuffed with C4. It will actually explode after so long of the zombies coming to it.
You have a particular sense of humor when it comes to games, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
All right, that sounds interesting. What's it available on?
Basically any system.
Modern?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So next I'm going to talk about a rather underlooked Wii game, Wario Land Shake It.
It is.
It's a platformer in the Wario Land series, which is a very fun series every game in the series is underlooked by Nintendo fans.
Right, but Shake It especially.
Shake It especially. 1, it uses motion controls really well. 2, it's a Wario platformer. 3, it's all hand-drawn, and it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And 4, as of the time we're recording this, it's cheap. Why would you not buy it?
Right. I think it's under $12 right now.
It's a great, solid game. Easily in the top 10% of best Wii games.
Right.
And it's definitely worth it. You got any more?
And a love for this series, as I've discussed a few times. I'm a huge fan of Armored Core. 4 Answer on the 360 and PS3 is kind of where it caps off. 5 and Verdict Day were absolutely terrible.
Those are the ones you should get, right?
But 4 Answer, 100% for sure. If you have one of the somewhat modern consoles, last gen, you should buy it.
I only have 2 and 3.
Or anything before.
But they're all really fun.
They took Mech Warrior idea and just made it better.
I find it a lot more streamlined than Mech Warrior.
It was a lot faster paced.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly how I figured it would be in massive mechs that have jetpacks and so.
And you got to take what you can get, because that genre has been on the decline for years.
Mm-hmm.
So the good ones are hard to find.
Yeah, 4 Answer is amazing.
All right. So my last console game on this list is Mischief-Makers, which I know I've mentioned before, probably in a couple of episodes.
Right.
It's a 2D platformer on the Nintendo 64. which is already like gimmicky enough to make it worth it for collectors.
Right.
But it's also a super over-the-top experience. The thing that really strikes me is the boss battles are some of the most insane, like, over-the-top things I've ever seen. One I remember distinctly, you're fighting against a boss while, like, standing on his motorcycle, and you got to avoid getting knocked off, because if you get knocked off, you fly backwards and insta-die. It's really interesting, a really cool art style as well. I believe it was done by Treasure.
Sounds about right.
So, yeah, and it's super cool and underappreciated and relatively cheap as far as good N64 games go. Any others?
Spectral Force 3.
I'm not familiar with this game.
Another type of game I am a huge fan of is turn-based strategy games.
Now that I know. XCOM's your blood.
Spectral Force 3 is along those same lines, but it's done by Atlas, or NIS, it's one of the two. It's hard to explain, but it's an absolute blast in how it plays. I have been trying to beat the game on the second playthrough to make it 100%, but it is time consuming.
All right. How many more things do you have on your list?
4.
4. I've got 3. So this works out. So the rest of my games are all retro PC things because that's what I've really been into lately. So the first one we're going to go through is one of my childhood favorites. Everyone knows SimCity. Everyone loves SimCity. If you don't love SimCity, there's something wrong with you, or you've never played SimCity.
All right.
SimCity's great, right? Well, in the mid-90s, Maxis did a couple spin-offs, and the interesting one is Simcopter. So the thing is with Simcopter, it is a helicopter simulator. But its big, like, killer app feature is the fact that you can import your game worlds from SimCity 2000 and play them in full 3D. And it's got a whole bunch of like wacky simulator things you can do. And if you happen to buy the first release of the game, it has an absolutely infamous glitch in it that if certain objectives are met or certain things are done, which is actually really easy to accomplish accidentally, every single NPC in the game are replaced by naked men who kiss each other. And the game was like pulled off store shelves because of that and replaced with a new version because it was controversial back then. It's just a super neat game. Buggy as hell, though. I will say that. It is very, very buggy and kind of hard to get it to play on modern systems.
Right.
But if you get the chance, try it out.
Beyond Good vs. Evil.
There's a surprise.
Whether you get it on the PS2 or the original Xbox, there's a second one of it on the way, finally. Mm-hmm. They finally announced it, finally gave us the trailer. Sometime within the next couple years, we'll finally see this game.
The Xbox version's like super cheap.
It is unique and fantastic in all the right ways. The way you get paid is one of the ways is by taking pictures. And the better picture you take, the more you get paid for
it's like
your
Pokemon
time.
Snap.
Right. But the main character, I think it's Jade.
Yeah.
Is one of the best female protagonists in gaming.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're getting a second one, and that makes it even cooler to get the first and play through it.
Right.
Yeah. So the next one I got isn't necessarily a game, but more a category of game. The AD&D games. So I told Jason a few weeks ago that I had never, ever in my life played D&D. Right?
They have not. None of them here have.
I've always wanted to, just never really gotten the chance. Right?
Right.
And how did that make you feel when I told you that?
I'm working on gathering the books so you guys can actually experience adventure.
So the asterisk to that is I have played some of the computer role-playing games for AD&D, which strip down a lot of the actual role-playing elements to make more of a streamlined RPG game. But they're all really good. They were like all done by SSI, who is well known for like their RPGs and also like war games. the type of stuff that you don't play for an hour. You spend 60 hours learning how to play.
Right, and before you get good.
And then you play 600 hours of the actual game.
Right.
And then come back for more. They're all really good old school games, and I'm just like, I want to play them all because they're so cool.
And if you find it, I want to say they did a collection not that long ago of a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. And they did one retro one as well back in the day that had them all in CD-ROM, which is how I've played them. So that's also something to look out for. It's pretty cheap, though it does have copy protection. So next.
Legend of Legaia, the game that they were going to play on one of their Let's Plays, and they never did.
Yes, and you got it back.
I finally have my Legend of Legaia back, but if you like RPG adventure games and you like the idea of kicking the crap out of people with martial arts, this is the game for you.
That sounds pretty great.
It is stupid fun.
Anything else to add about it?
Just find a copy and play it.
I mean, it is kind of pricey.
It's like $40 or $50 right now.
But when you consider the platform it's on and the fact that it's an RPG, isn't that unreasonable?
If you find number 2, don't do it, just run. If you find number 1, buy it.
Do you own 2?
No. 2 is terrible, man.
Oh. So you won't even own it for collector's purposes?
Eventually I'll get it, but 2 is a steaming pile.
All right. So my last game is another PC game, like I said. And, we were talking about mech games before. And don't be fooled. This is a mech game. This is Interstate 76. So it is not a mech game, but it is totally a mech game. So the people behind, it's either Mech Warrior or Mech Assault, I get them mixed up, did this game in the late 90s using, I want to say it was Mech Warrior 2's engine. And it's a mech game, but instead of being in a mech, you're in a 70s convertible. And it takes place in a post-apocalyptic 1976 with super polygonal graphics. And it's basically Mad Max, the video game. But with a whole bunch of quirky humor in it. Like, there's a button on your keyboard that's called the poetry button, and you press it, and a guy comes on the radio, and he gives you poetry. And it's all, like, dripped in 70s funk, while still being a really fun, sandboxy, shoot things, and get out of your vehicle and do this and do that, and do missions kind of game. Which has made it a cult classic. It's like a boxed copy is big money, but you can find it, just in a jewel case pretty cheap. So yeah, that's it for me. And you've got one more.
I have actually, 2 more, because one is a shameless plug of what I've been playing. But one of the games on the Super Nintendo that's fairly cheap right now that everybody overlooks is Nindo. Really fun adventure game. It's one of the better RPGs for the Super Nintendo. Not that there isn't a lot ahead of it, but for its price, it's only like $15, but it's really good.
All right, and one more.
Yep, my shameless self-plug. I've been playing a game on the PC quite a bit recently. It's an empire building game, or a kingdom building rather, where you and I want to say up to 20 or 26 kingdom mates build a kingdom, and you can go to war with other kingdoms. But you have to balance your land, your money, your troops, all of that out. You have to be like, oh, am I going to draft up to 70% or only the 60%? Mm-hmm. It's called Utopia. If you just search Utopia game under Google, it's one of the first things that shows up.
So why is it a self-plug?
Because it's been one of my addictions that I checked at least 2 or 3 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of time spent, huh?
Yeah.
So you really enjoy it. All right. Well, you have anything else to add about this?
Go out and buy. If you like any of these games or you want to check any of them out. I know they just started the game until you die thing again. If you like any of them and we have the ability to, we can always do some of these.
All right. Well, guys, like this video. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Join us on Discord. Let us know on Discord and in the comments below, either one or both, what your hidden gems are, things we should look out for, that kind of stuff.
Or if you want us to cover certain topics.
Yeah, we're always looking for episode suggestions.
We are.
And, with YouTube shutting down ad partners and, being dicks to small channels. If you really feel generous and you want to get some cool Gaming Buzz merch, you can check out our shop. Link will be in the description. You can buy a nice t-shirt or something, and, it helps support us.
It does.
So that is it for us today. So we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Did you like that? Of course you did. You can get more at GamingBuzz.com. Let us know what else you want by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube.